Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, glad to be here. We have a special guest tonight. I'm so glad to announce we have Dr. Becker. Yes, my name is Domenic Volpe. I'm your host. It's the Volpe Report. And like I said, we have a very special guest tonight. We have the Town of Cortland Councilman, Dr. Becker. Dr. Becker, welcome.
Okay. Thank you.
What we'll do tonight is we want to talk to Doctor to see, it's been 11 months since you won the election. Give us an idea of what it was like as far as the whole euphoria behind winning. It was your first foray into this. Give us a little background. Let's even start maybe with a bio as far as your background. Let's start with that.
Well, born and raised in New York City, and never thought I'd be a suburbanite. Came up here to practice medicine after finishing cardiology training at Westchester Medical Center. And my wife and I and our children have been residing in Cortland since '84. And over the years, I got involved in the town of Cortland when I started fighting the overdevelopment that was overtaking our community, in particular trying to fight Dickerson Mountain, which is one of the largest preserves in our area. It should be preserved.
Right.
It's a very serene place. It looks like you're in the Adirondacks. And so I started attending every planning board meeting, protesting developments, and from there I got appointed by the town board to the zoning board. And I served on that board for a few years, still attending planning board meetings, and then decided 2 years ago to make the run for councilman.
Was it something that you felt from the ground up? Did people ask you or maybe say, hey, doctor, it's something maybe you should look into? Or was it something that maybe even, you just felt that inner feeling like there was an urge?
Well, the Democratic Party was very supportive of me and from the beginning. And I think any politician has a certain amount of narcissism and convinces themselves that they could do this and do it well and maybe even do it better.
Sure.
And I've had some management experience, and I wanted to be involved. And at the point in my life where I'd been practicing medicine for over 25 years, I felt it was time to introduce a next phase. And my children were grown, out of the house. I had the time to devote. And so
Speaking of children, excuse me, but any children then?
Yes, I have 2 children. I have a daughter, Lauren, who's 25 and is in grad school at Albert Einstein in New York to become a psychologist.
Oh, very good.
And I have a son, Justin, who is a senior at Harvard.
Oh, senior at Harvard. Very
Yes.
nice.
Yes.
Wow.
So 6 more months and done. Daddy's done.
Yeah. But that envelope that says, hey, well, how about contributing to our fund over here?
Well, that will be more optional as opposed to required.
That's right, that's right. So you're in the game of children in college, and you understand what that means.
Yes, we have the empty nest, and so it gave me plenty of time to devote this. And I have a very understanding wife who's committed to her town and is happy I'm involved.
Were the children involved in the election process as far as the
No,
campaign?
they were off in school, but
but
they were very supportive and proud.
Throughout the country. Sure, Dad was running for something, right?
That's right. Dad was getting involved.
Has it made? How's the transition been? Has it impacted home life? Has it impacted the practice? The time that you had maybe for, doing whatever your own, social
Well, it definitely
activities?
cuts into your own personal time, but this is, for me, a new way that I elect to spend my free time. It has not had any impact really on my practice at all. It's mainly nights and weekends, and I can usually schedule things around it. We have a few daily meetings, a few day meetings, and other commitments that the councilman must have. But overall, I can schedule my day around it, and it's been very rewarding. I'm enjoying it.
That's what I was going to get into. That is, what's been the most difficult part of the move now, in a sense?
I would think the transition, I think, was easier because the other 3 council people had been there over a decade, and Linda Puglisi, the supervisor, has 17 years experience. So they know every aspect of the town, and they were able to bring me up to speed quickly and provided me with volumes of information and lots of reading to do, which I attacked at the beginning, so that I could learn different sections of the town and the history. And one of the things that's that's, I guess, typical of most small towns, that every aspect of town life has a history to it, and it shouldn't just happen. And you don't want to upset people who are used to doing something a certain way. So it's very nice to go back, learn how you got to a certain point in time and why an issue arose, and then deal from it from that point of view. So there was a very steep learning curve, but I think I know most that I need to know after about a year.
You acclimated yourself in
I did.
a very
a lot
quick
of study.
Was there a certain a department that you needed a bigger background in? In other words, was it the town clerk's or the assessor's office, or because you were on the planning board, you already had pretty much a working knowledge of certain aspects?
For me, I wanted to learn what each department really does, how they're managed. One of the largest departments, for example, was our highway department, and I asked the town board, and they agreed that we should do a real in-depth analysis of how this highway department works and whether we're being efficient, can they do more, or they overwork, how we pay. And so we had an outside consultant come in and did a full analysis of the highway department and gave us a blueprint so that we can assess it and go forward and make appropriate adjustments over time. And so that's where the town board has been very accepting of me coming in with my particular
Sure,
approach.
because you may have a different style and leading up to now, so they could have just snubbed you and said no, versus, hey, you know what, let's take a look, maybe he's got a different point of view that we haven't seen in a long time.
I would say that all the 5 members of the board are very supportive of each other. And so that if someone has an idea that they really champion and take seriously, we'll all take that seriously.
So they allow the cream to rise to the top.
Absolutely.
In a sense.
We're accepting of new ideas and concepts and new approaches, and no one is rigid or says it has to be my way. We're very much a consensus.
So you would say it's not like the political climate maybe in Peekskill?
Probably not. I think that we work, very smoothly together. We disagree, but it's never personal, it's never deep, it simply comes down to a vote. There are 5 votes, 3 carries the day.
Someone said the politics in Cortland is beige.
It could be, it could be. I like beige.
I like beige, exactly.
Now my favorite color.
Let's see. So and what's on that as far as transition goes? If that's the most difficult, what would you say has been the easiest part, or the most rewarding part of this?
Well, I've known, for me, I ran on an preserving open space, and I was very familiar with almost every project that was up before the planning board and some of the issues before
so
the
you had that working
zoning
knowledge
board. So I had that working knowledge. I'd had a day-to-day working relationship with many of the various different boards in the town, and so that it was very comfortable for me.
Well, I got to give you credit, because I know during we ran at the same time, and I mean, I was out there a lot and I was doing a lot, but no matter where I went, God bless you, you were there before me and sometimes even after me too.
Yeah, I would call your family, find out where you were, get there 2 minutes before. No, it was a hard campaign. It was enjoyable though. One of the tasks that I dreaded the most was the door knocking. I thought going up to strangers' houses would be frightening and difficult, and the first week or 2 it was.
Right.
But after that, you knock on doors and people really teach you. You really learn that every section of town has its unique problems and needs their own ideas and solutions.
Sure, it's like the beat on a street. It's like one thing is what maybe a letter to the editor, and you really don't know if there's a hidden agenda behind the letter to the editor. But when you knock on a door and it says, yeah, come on inside, let me talk to you for a second.
And some of the days, in particular in the summer, as you will know, they're 90 degrees out and they'll bring you in and give you iced tea or soda. It's very appreciative, and you'll listen to what they say, and there's a good discussion, and it helps you formulate your own ideas. And I think it's such an important part of the process, not just because it gets you elected by meeting people, but you really learn what you're getting into.
It's a maturation process.
Yes, absolutely.
And
it's a real education.
Process.
Absolutely.
Yep, absolutely. I agree. There was always the age-old, do you go knocking door to door? Do you stand out in front of Walmart, A&P? To me, it doesn't make a difference. Either one is just as effective. It still tells...
I think you kind of, as a candidate, have to do both, but there's nothing like standing at a doorway and having to have someone have a conversation with you, because you learn about them and they learn about you.
I think that's the key.
In front of the supermarkets, it's really just handing out your material and hoping that they'll read it.
Sure.
But there's more of a give and take on the door knocking.
Right. And it's more personal versus, a fleeting moment where they're just coming in and going out, or whatever the case. So it sounds like you're having a good time.
I'm enjoying it. It's very satisfying.
And the term is for 4 years, so it's not like you have to run immediately.